Welcome back to our last panel of the day. And we will start with something that looks quite exciting on-site presentations. And the first one by Jānis GARANČS. And Jānis GARANČS is an artist and immersive media researcher. He has studied classical fine arts in Riga and computer arts at the Royal Institute of Art in Stockholm and arts of Academy of Media Arts in Cologne. And he is now currently doing his doctoral research in Riga Technical University Liepaja Academy, as well as doing research as a visiting researcher at Aalto University in Finland.
So today I will tell a background and the motivation about series of artworks which I put under the umbrella title Visualization and Sonification of Financial Trading Data in Extended Reality. And this is also part of my doctoral thesis, the practical side, but today's focus is somewhat wider than the thesis itself. So I have tried also to put in a context also kind of which was not kind of artificially brought to, but I think it was also resonating with the topic of the conference. Just little background. I'm artist, but I've done also some research projects, which was some 8 years ago. I was involved in European consortium, which was trying to invent new methodologies for interactive TV production, which meant that you take a lot of data, which can be video clips, news items, and various types of metadata. For example, you have a sport, you have a additional background of the personalities involved, and so there would be two sides of the system, that one for the authoring, another one for the spectators. And that I realized that I'm somehow also been fascinated by various processes which sometimes are kind of hidden behind the surface of black boxes in various technological infrastructures. And one of them is, for example, financial transactions, which is kind of phenomena which has taken more and more interest for masses for more than 100 years, because before it was a bit more like specialist area. And so I'm trying to develop some kind of system that would take kind of analytic and artistic speculation on this topic. And I got in kind of triggered by the problem that some of these economic activities, they unfortunately also bring not only change society fabric, but it can also be kind of really personal story for people involved. And the financial charts itself, it can be, as this researcher Marcin Krawczuk from Poland, he states that it can be expressive visual object and both performative agent. And financial charts are not passive, neutral record of financial exchange that takes place on the capital markets. It can also contribute to constitution of financial market as empirical object that can be directly perceived and consequently managed. So hinting that it has been used as also part of manipulation. And some years ago, maybe some of you have noticed that there have been various initiatives to sort of take the investment to the masses. So the stating that it doesn't have to go through stockbroker or and there's this other tendency that the gamification of these investments to increase user engagement is not only a kind of researched area, but becoming slowly a problem. And there are some statements from supervising bodies and sociologists that it is actually harming generations, and it's some new types of legislation is being introduced. So this gamification in combination with gamification of investment is kind of creating almost like a perfect storm to happen at some point. And so some of the legislation is actually trying to slow down some of the effects of this gambling and infrastructure, which is, for example, the various types of interfaces, and in additionally to these structures that kind of have deliberately malicious intent. It is creating also a situation in which music historian Ted Gioia, he's one of the persons who talks about the rise of dopamine culture, where this passions and addictions to various types of activities, starting from kind of chemical substances, as we know, to also consummation of various types of media, they experience some kind of shift. And you see from left to right, we have kind of longer duration artifacts like film, and it's becoming more into kind of short videos, TikToks and scrolling and so on. And in a way that if you talk about this like tiny fish art, which is part of a larger entertainment and destruction infrastructure and culture and algorithms, it brings to the kind of main shark, which is addiction. This is still also from Ted Gioia's presentation, and that it kind of creates this feedback loop of stimuli and desire and dopamine release, which kind of drives a lot of these activities. And of course, media conglomerates, they are researching also the ways how people are consuming the, let's say, traditional media like TV and film and streaming media. Of course, this is also like an example from Dolby Labs, that they use biosensors as to learn how we are reacting to movies and shows to better understand human experience, quote. So I'm trying to use methodologies from kind of relatively new research field, which is called immersive analytics, which is kind of fusion from visualization, auditory displays, computing, machine learning, and neuroaesthetics. And so one of the approaches is, for example, that you try to use the media technologies, which can be either immersive, kind of personal devices, head-mounted displays, or kind of large projections, and maybe try to translate that the common interfaces or two-dimensional kind of graphical stylistics into third dimension and see how it works. And this particular example from Citigroup, they've developed around 2016, I think, this interface, and they tried out but actually never implemented, because some of the hopes or theories and hypotheses about the usability didn't work out. But nevertheless, there are still these various technical infrastructures being developed, and one of them, just an example, is that the kind of headset which kind of really links with the biofeedback immediately, like kind of reacting to visual or emotional status, and kind of trying to make this hybrid feedback loop between human physiological system and algorithms. So my doctoral thesis, in short, is staging live data in extended reality between immersive analytics and aesthetics. It's kind of practice-led research that investigates novel methods for authoring in extended reality for real-time data, kind of emphasizing real-time. And it's at the moment, it's kind of crystallizing around these areas which use the different, some cross and overlapping areas that basically focus into user-centered experience that has various references in literature, and some of that is kind of freshly researched in context of these immersive analytics. And a few more authors I would like to mention that touch upon these metaphors of immersion. And for example, Austrian researcher Christian Stiegler proposes a framework of analysis called 360-degree gaze that kind of captures this fluid paradigm of immersive. And it has some relationship with the concept of dispositif from Michel Foucault. It's kind of control and at the same time also kind of overview, and how this mediate itself under impression of surveillance, how it can be modified. Another interesting concept or term is this operational images, which is kind of coined by a German artist and Harun Farocki, especially his audiovisual work and few writings. That is, and as Jussi Parikka has recently written a book that he states that there are some images that primarily operate. So there's some kind of interface between the artifact and the process, and they are not necessarily representational or pictorial. And it's kind of culture that has some, examples from maybe more than 100 years ago, that the various technical imagery to explore or understand complex spatial phenomena, in this case used for military, and how that transcends into the interfaces for daily conducting of transactions. And so coming back to financial charts, there are these different methods how you can analyze the past, which has just passed, for example, maybe a few minutes or a few seconds ago, and you try to build the models and predict. Of course, in financial markets, you're trying to predict what will happen next. There are some mathematics behind it, and although some of the people who are involved in this trading, whether it's kind of long-term trading, investment, as lots of our pension funds are putting more and more in these risky financial instruments. So I'm trying to build an environment where I put this financial data between these extremes of utility of analytics and some explorative aesthetics, which is for artists gives a larger freedom, but these kind of the extremes, they overlap and meet somewhere in between. And there's this other proposal from researchers Nuno Correia or Atau Tanaka, that they propose this audiovisual user interface, where interface itself becomes artifact, and in a way also serve as this operational image, some sort of image in between, which sometimes becomes part of the artifact. So I'm this technical flowchart. So I'm using algorithms which pick these data, which comes 24 hours, 30 whole year around, and I'm using various graphical engines. These also become sort of operational images and interface, and sort of opening a keyhole into this invisible space around us. And using some spatial notation for sound, and the data becomes it's kind of traveling away from this abstract representation more and more into kind of bodily imitation of the material. And I'm using stereoscopic projection and various simulations of kind of physical phenomena. And I've been presenting recently also this other aspect of this spatial audio, which kind of works together, creating the shifts from this visible and invisible, audible and not audible, so kind of uniting the physical conceptual space together and creating tension. One of the practical realizations was this installation / performance at the Multimedia Festival in Prague, with all these 3 screens were stereoscopic 3D projection, and the festival made like a little overview. For those who are in Riga, there is a chance in just in 1 week I will have a exhibition opening for 4 days at Risaba University or H2 Center, and today also for those who are here, let's see, maybe I'll set up a kind of improvised small 3D projection in one of the rooms here. I was considering to do it here, but there's dark kind of dark surface wouldn't work so much. And so if you want to connect, you could click some of these links. Basically, yeah, that's it for my presentation. If there's some questions, I would try to answer.
So the exhibition in Risaba H206 Center.
Yeah.
And is that you are showing your one work, or where
I'm showing just one this work in progress of this practical side of my doctoral thesis, which is it is an exhibition. Yeah, it is an exhibition. I'm still thinking maybe in addition there could be some dates where I put something like a performance. I will announce that. But it's so my work is actually also moving from installation-based works towards this performative work. Therefore, also this emphasis in the thesis on the live data. So it's kind of reacting live on kind of change of situation and conditions, and involving kind of emotional component in that.
But we wish you a lot of luck with your research, and I wanted to just comment that I've been following your work for many years now, and it's nice to see the progress and the development of this real-time data visualization, the struggle that you are researching, and I'm very happy to see your work updated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think our next presenters can start their setup. So Sandris MÖRINŠ will present in his talk, olfactory media sense for extended memories and emotions. Will present his research work and development work on researching how senses can be saved and how do they impact memories and emotions. And I think we will also see the scent camera at work.
So hi everybody. So it's a big pleasure to be here and to present. First of all, I will not be alone. So here's my colleague Amanda. So I will. So we will show some very early stage of scent camera technology at the end of our presentation. So I will tell you today about 3 things. First of all, about how olfaction works. Second, what kind of technologies are, for me, is interesting, what's going on in the field. And third, I will say maybe there is some opportunities to collaborate, not only with me, but with other scientists all over Europe, because we are building now scent or smell, touch or scent touch scientific and artistic network. So this talk is based on an article which I co-authored with Rachel Hertz. She's one of the leading neuroscientists in olfactory field, with Kai Markus Müller. He is one of the leading neuroscientists regarding consumer behavior in Germany, and me, co-founder of Scent Camera. So, and this article will be published in November Position and Issue. So it's a new music-based magazine, and this magazine will be devoted to how sense and music could work together. And those who will have opportunity to buy or are subscribers, they will receive the issue, and they will receive smell testers, which are designed for one particular piece. So, and everybody could go in home and then just experience this combination between smell and music. So let's start how olfaction works, at least what I understand from scientists with whom I work. So there are 3 levels. So there is a smell level, or let's say molecule level. There is the sensor or level what's happening in our nose, and then there is what happened in our brain. So basically, the first level is those molecules, and these molecules, at least in chemistry, called volatile organic compounds, and they evaporate both from natural sources. It's like from nature, from flowers, from trees, but as well as it could happen as well as from human-made processes like wood, like carpet, and etc. So there is a lot of molecules which like gases which evaporate from different kind of surroundings. But the trick is that only a small part of that create scent sensation. Not all of them are meant for that. And next thing that goes here in the nose, and in the nose we have a lot of sensors, but these sensors are organized around 400 different type of olfactory receptor genes. It means 4 different kind of, let's say, type of sensors, and each sensor could go type of sensor could be triggered by one or several form of the molecules. So basically, it's this appears that this sensation, this smells sensation, is created around these 400 different type of genes. But this is like combinatorial. Think about it. So just this means that there is some like composition, right? So there could be some kind of molecules which cross, okay, your nose, and then based on what is that, then what kind of information your nose receives, and then it goes to the brain. So and it generally means that there is a very huge variety of odors what we as a human can perceive. This is one of the latest research 2 years ago. They find out that there could be around 40 billion different odors or smells which we can perceive, and this is much let's say broader sense than visual or audio. So then it goes then this information goes to the brain, and there is the interesting thing. It's in the part where amygdala is in amygdala and hippocampal part here in the brain. And this particular brain, what is interesting is this brain is part of the brain is mostly responsible for processing emotions and memories, and that's why this is very unique for smell. Is that smell information from the nose goes directly to this part of the brain. If it goes from visual or audio signals, it goes through the filtering. And that's why one thing what researchers found, and particularly Rachel heard, that odorants more effectively triggers meaningful memories. That's one thing. For example, what you can do, she has one recent research. If you are in, for example, if you are in the army and you need to give some very particular task, which should be very easily memorized, then what you do, you just give the task, give the smell, and then when somebody needs to evoke in memory, you give the same smell again. This is one thing. And second thing, as it's connected with memories, there is other scientists, particularly in Europe, with whom we collaborating as well. It's from Cecilia Membrin and Matthias Stilic. They both work for USL, Institute of Sustainable Heritage, and they're starting thinking of a different thing, right? If it's somehow linked with memories, and we know that some memories are part of the culture or shared memories, and these shared memories could be part of culture heritage as well. Then, of course, is the question how to identify which smells make sense or which sense to make sense for culture heritage and how to make recordings, what kind of information we need to record, and etc. Yes, and the second part, yes, is that as well. This is due to the uniqueness of how our brain is, and how our small system is built, or the system is built, is that is that any novel scent could be linked with any emotions, right? So it means that if I feel bad at the moment, and if I have novel scent which I have never faced before, then my brain connects this information, emotional information, with this sensory information into one block. And then, if I want to come back to them to these emotions, I need re-trigger this scent molecule again, and I could be in the part of, and I can be experience the same emotion as well. There was a huge discussion before that if it's like some kind of on molecule level, so that there are, we now went from R-therapy that there are some molecules which somehow trigger our emotions, right? But this is clear now that this is not on our, not we as a human are inbuilt, that some kind of molecules are meant for happiness and some kind of for calm, but basically we learn. This is like learning system. Yes, and yes, this is again, she found out that scents can evoke emotions more intensely than other stimulus, and this connection could be learned, right? So it's if you want like amplify your work of art on emotional level, then a scent it could be more, let's say, more effective on that. So next thing is about, okay, this is one thing, right? This is how it works, but what we can, and what others start building from that. And again, we can see these things from various perspectives. Again, one is from this molecule one, right? From this volatile organic compound. Second is how to trigger this receptors, and then is how to work with our brain. And there are several projects which I will show, which I think is interesting, what's going on. On VOC level, I think we are trying to build stand camera, which basically is like that you go in the forest or somewhere else and you capture those particular molecules, right? You work on molecule level. So this is one thing which we are doing that. And then basically what's mean? It means here is like, for example, capsula. This is when the recording happens. It's filled with absorbent. Basically, here is a mixture of absorbent of 4 different kind of absorbents. We find out that this is much better. And then it's based on absorption. So basically, you pump air with molecules in, and due to absorption law, these molecules under a bigger, higher pressure, they just stick to the surface of adsorbent, and then becomes this is how you capture, and then you change things, and then you can release it. So basically, we are trying to build the system which captures here molecule, stores, and release it. So you go in the forest, you find some good molecule, you capture it here, you store it, you go home, and you release it and smell again. And of course, you can. The easiest part is just to attach here audio-visual information. So we find out that around we could record accuracy, right? It's how precise or how easily identified could be. We started with laboratory tests and scents. It's like that. So from those scents, we can get around 85% accuracy, and food-related scents with 72% accuracy. Now we have a huge problem, a bigger problem with environmental scents. Almost for us, it's at the moment it's very hard to record, but I think we will find a way how to do that as well. Now, maybe Amanda will show how we can record smell of the scent. Basically, it's the same thing. Here is a capsule, and then there is a recorder. Maybe somebody can help her. So you need to just to pump, right? To use that pump. Yes, and she will say to do that. So, and this is one thing, right? What's interesting, so you can do it. Yes, and I will say, the second thing is that one thing is when you capture those scents. The second is how to make it that it could be last forever and reproduced in any quantity, right? And then we collaborate with Norwegian University, with NTNU, and they developing AI models for reproduction. Basically, we collect those samples, send to laboratory, they analyze in gas chromatography what's inside, and then the model should suggest what should be mixed. And the similar work goes as well, not only NTNU, but the similar models now currently developing Google startup Osmo. And next thing is receptors, right? So it's basically not about on molecule level. So we are not storing or reproducing these chemical molecules, but we are working only with sensors. And there are several directions. Of course, one is headsets with some kind of with some sense inbuilt in that. There are a number of different startups like Vasco, Olamera, like Olfaction, virtual reality, and etc. They are promising huge results, and it's particularly interesting that it's used as well. Could be for therapy, for psychotherapical perspectives. And then regarding sensors, other work I think which is 10 or 20 years so ahead. So it's that you, instead of molecules, you can trigger it with electricity, and you can trigger two things. When you can trigger olfactory bulb, or you can trigger a trigeminal nerve. Olfactory bulb tries to Japanese and Malaysian scientists study on chalk, but it's need to be 10 centimeters long, so you need to put in very huge long one. And second is what does Jas Brooks? He just trigger this trigeminal nerve. But for trigeminal nerve, it's not so much on reproducing sensorial experiences, because it could be only very limited part, but you could use for navigation and other stuff. Second and third part, how you can of course think as well, it's about emotions. This is a future project which we tried to fundraise from EU twice. This is a project which is basically advocated by me and by Rachel Hertz. Its idea is that we could build emotion media. So basically, we can, if I feel happy, so I can record my feeling of happiness. And then when I feel bad, I can somehow stimulate it again. This is, as I told you previously, this is idea is about that some sense and emotions are connected, wiring together. This means if we can produce a system which is unique, which produce unique novel sense, and it's easy to do. So basically, I can go backwards and trigger it again. And of course, it could be digital. So basically, later on, if I know which system produce your happiness or your mixture of emotions, so that I can send from one body to other without using emoticons. And at the end, before she will show, there is the two projects I think which you can join. One is SenseNet. So this is a project about doctoral networks, which we are writing now. Here is involved NTNU, Volkswagen University, my startup, Procter & Gamble, Ljubljana University, and UCL. And this is about developing stage, mostly for AI models for reproducing both, and to understand on molecule level and on neurosense level. And second project is Sentinel, which is pan-European project, which basically idea is just to develop methodology for developing understanding which sense are important to store for cultural heritage. And the aim of the project in 3 years just to create a database and models for a production of 100 valuable scents for all over the world. We will go on January, we will start when will be first scent recording expedition for cultural heritage needs, we will go to Brazil, to Salvador City, when we will record some small of carnivals. And yes, so this is 100 cents which should be recorded and collected. If somebody wants to join, yes, let us know. And now maybe we can show it, right?
Latvian bread. Thank you. I think you can come here.
It's okay. It's really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Concentrated point.
Yeah.
So we recorded that bread.
What is inside that bag that you just extracted?
It's bread.
And how long the smell can stay there till it evaporates?
So we tried on the first years, at least we stored for 3 months when it's still, but and the scientists said that if we have it closed, it should end some years. But if you want a very long run, then we will need to build technology for this sort of basically coming those molecules into liquid stage. But it's some year definitely, at least I was told, if it's hermetically closed, it should be able to store.
And to produce it in a liquid state, what does it take for you to do?
Liquid?
In a liquid state.
So we have never tried. So it's there is free adsorption. Basically, you stick to the sorbent. Desorption when you release, when you disconnect from the sorbent, and desorption and absorption is when you those molecules you push into liquid and it just take over or dissolve in that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like this problem in the perfume industry where they cut down trees and different kinds of plants and yes. And basically the environment is damaged, but like if you have this kind of a solution and you can like chemically produce that kind of a smell, you have like hit the jackpot here with this technology. It's amazing.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and good luck with your two research projects. I think.
Can I ask one thing? I know that smell is also usually very related to the humidity in the air.
Yes.
So why, is this something that you're considering, or how does this integrate with your
It's
idea?
true. No, what I understand, but I don't. Okay, on that I cannot say. This is just my intuition, right? My intuition is that humidity just increases this VOC process. So they just amount of those molecules, just there are much more. And that's why, for example, when artists go and to record these VOCs, but not for smell purposes, because they're just putting into heads gas chromatograph, because they want to understand not smells, but they want to understand how ecological environment of Arctic, for example, change, right? And then they're going and they need to record much longer time. I think it's due to the lower concentration of VOCs. Humidity improves. I think my intuition is that humidity increases concentration of VOCs in the air.
Thank you. And we will move to our next presentation online. Chris, Wille, and Brian Patrick Franklin with their presentation, Flood Tide Below Me. I see you face to face, presenting a kinetic installation looking at humans' interaction with their environment in the act of creation and destruction.
Hello, my name is Chris Willie.
And I'm Brian Franklin.
We formed the collaborative group Sphere Collective, and today we are presenting our most recent work, Flood Tide Before Me, I See You Face to Face. This installation mirrors human interaction with our environment, allowing viewers to visualize the impact of the environment in several ways.
The sculpture is a 4-foot by 3-foot plotter that draws lines using chia seeds, mapping the movements of people in its gallery space through a facial recognition system. A gel of hydrated seeds is extruded from a large syringe onto 3D printed hexagonal tiles that replicate the landscapes of towns that Chris and I have called home throughout our lives. These tiles portray the elevation, bodies of water, forests, and the built environment of these locations using satellite imagery. As people move through the space, they influence the patterns the plotter draws, and in a sense, they walk these landscapes, tracing connections between their actions and the world we inhabit.
This piece touches on several critical themes that align with the conference. First, it responds directly to the climate crisis and the human impact on ecosystems. The sculpture has a CO2 sensor that tracks the gallery's air quality. The more people that are present, the higher the CO2 levels. This influences the watering system built into the sculpture, causing the chia seed to receive less water as more people occupy the space. Over time, this creates a paradox where human presence, a metaphor for overconsumption or crowding, leads to the eventual death of the plants that the sculpture nurtures.
This interactive cycle reflects the intricate relationship between human activity and the environment. As human presence increases, the strength of the ecosystems we inhabit diminishes. Flood tide offers a visual and experiential representation of this degradation. It asks viewers to contemplate how our daily actions contribute to environmental harm, even as we seek to cultivate and support life. The chia seeds represent potential growth and resilience, but the lack of adequate care symbolizes the unsustainability of current human behaviors. It's a direct allegory for how our actions, even those with good intentions, can lead to unintended harm.
The sculpture also touches on the theme of place, both personal and collective. The landscapes depicted in the tiles carry deep personal significance, representing the places that have shaped both my collaborator and myself. The elevation, rivers, and structures are physical representation of our memories, histories, and a sense of belonging. As the gallery visitors engage with the piece, they are blending their movements with the personal geographies, creating a web of organic material that shows how interconnected these locations have become. This interaction underscores the importance of place in shaping both human identity and the environment, offering a reminder that landscapes are not just passive backdrops, but active participants in our lives.
Flood tide also points towards topics of surveillance and the act of watching. The camera's gaze mirrors the way we observe and consume, and are consumed by, the world around us. In this work, the audience is both the observer and the observed, in a feedback loop where their presence alters the environment they are viewing. This dynamic speaks to how observation itself can alter ecosystems, particularly in how we engage with nature and the spaces we inhabit, and how there is almost nowhere untouched by humanity anymore. The work asks, what happens when our gaze, our consumption, our presence becomes too much? How do we, as a species, find balance in a world where our very existence can cause harm. Thank you for having us. Are there any questions?
The average duration of that kind of installation?
So what is the duration of the installation?
We can change how much CO2 is set as a kind of threshold to set those durations. So there's 4 thresholds within the piece of watering cycles. And we run a lot of setup tests to know what the kind of average CO2 of the room is and how people affect it during the day. And that allows us to essentially set the duration according to whatever the exhibition is.
There was one question in the chat asking if the facial recognition tracker influences the piece other than recognizing how many people are around the installation. The facial recognition tracker is capturing people's positioning of their faces. So if someone starts in one corner of the gallery and moves around to the other corner, the line of chia seed follows that line as they're moving. So the facial recognition system is determining positioning more than number of people. And the carbon dioxide sensor is sort of capturing the amount of people by the amount of carbon dioxide or the amount of exhales or breathing that's happening in the space.
I have a question about, you mentioned that people influence the environment without thinking that the influence might be negative. Are you actually giving the people some kind of tools to influence your installation positively?
I think in a lot of ways, the positive aspect is the growth and the kind of way that they get to draw and change the piece. Because like obviously plants absorb CO2, so their actions create more plants, but it's the dichotomy of how humans have just as much influence that can be positive, and even in ways that can be positive, it still kind of can have that blowback effect, that negative too.
Thank you so much for your presentation and for joining us today. And I enjoyed your work quite a lot, and good luck with your future research.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We will move now to our next presenters. Do we have them?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, and you are together. That's great to see. So presentation Layers of Bias by Peppy and Nathan Williams, New York-based artists and designers. Well, that's what my introduction say. And so present working with creative technologies and conceptual arts and research.
Developments within the sphere of artificial intelligence are changing the way that we communicate and understand the world around us. These artificial intelligence technologies have become a reflection of our own practices and ways of thinking. The algorithms that power these AI models are built upon previously existing human knowledge and information, creating a mirror of our society that reflects the biases and dark sides of our own nature.
Images have historically played a key role in the ways we receive and process information, specifically in the realms of social media and news. However, with the rise of AI image-making models and media biases, this trustworthiness is dwindling and creating further doubt of if what we are seeing online is reflective of what is actually happening.
Layers of Bias is a multimedia, interactive, and multiplayer installation that acts as a critical examination of media representation in the digital age. It addresses the distortion of information on current media platforms, prompting reflection on how our perceptions are shaped and reshaped by multiple layers of bias, ultimately altering our understanding of primary sources.
We drew inspiration from the classic childhood game of telephone, in which a single phrase completely transforms its original content through the consecutive communication amongst many individuals. Similarly, Layers of Bias aims to take this one step further with the availability of AI image making in conjunction with speech-to-text machine learning. We built this all in code to implement the multiple bias layers that the user's input travels through. Physical components are also used to allow the user to be fully immersed in the experience, including Arduino-powered buttons and a thermal printer.
Layers of bias is also meant to mimic the experience of how information is sourced and shared throughout the realms of journalism and social media. The players act as independent journalists, tasked with the role of describing an image to the fullest extent possible, a metaphor to on-site journalists, as can be seen with the design of the microphone. Their descriptions then travel through multiple different layers with inherent biases, evolving into an outcome that is representative of the multiple different interpretations and opinions that exist in contemporary media and news globalization.
The experience all begins with one image, upon which the first player is prompted to describe by speaking into a microphone like a reporter. Their speech is then converted into a text through speech-to-text machine learning. An image is then generated from their response through Stability AI's API, which is then reflected on the screen.
The second player is then prompted to describe this generated image, and again their response is used to generate yet another image by an alternative player. This entire process repeats once again until there are 4 uniquely generated images which are shown together beside the original untouched image. The players also receive a receipt of their experience, in which all of their responses and generated images are recorded and printed.
We acknowledge that the role of choosing the first image the user sees is already inherently biased. However, we deliberately chose images from multiple different media outlets and aimed to create a pool of images that was centered around a certain topic or historical event. We landed on starting with images from the US military's withdrawal from Afghanistan from 2020 to 2021. When researching how media and news outlets reported on this event, we found that there was extreme bias amongst different media outlets. In choosing images from this divisive topic, we aim to uncover and understand where and how these biases come into play, as well as investigate these biases on a personal level.
And what was the response from the people who generated the images after they saw the result and the comparison with the original?
I think people are mainly shocked and surprised, especially with the one where it generated, like the original image is a hospital in Afghanistan, and then the generated images are just individuals like chilling on a bed, which is really weird. I think people are just really surprised by how their own descriptions affect these images, and also how the generated images are so different from the original image.
And were there people trying again and trying to get closer to the original image?
Yes, well, at the beginning, it randomly chooses an image from a pool that we have of about 20 images. So it's difficult for them to get the same image, but upon like trying and figuring out what the algorithms, like how talking to the algorithm influences what it generates and doing it more and more, it's like easier to get to a point where you can generate an image that is well based off what you said, you know?
Yeah. We also gave a time limit of 30 seconds for each player to describe each image. So while they would want to describe each image with as much accuracy as possible, we kind of made that restriction, and it also kind of constrained the user or the participant to have a super accurate description. And I think that's a very accurate representation of how news are also constantly being generated at such an intense and fast speed in today's world.
Were there also some success stories where the image that came out was quite close, or at least on the same emotional level?
I don't think we ever saw an image that came close to the original on an emotional level. Sure, if we described very specific details about the image, it would come closer to the original, but I think the Stability API that we use to generate the image doesn't have the ability to create like complex emotions within the images. So yeah.
I think the only ones that were pretty similar was when we described objects and not people. So that also reveals quite a lot about how text to image generation is also, cannot capture complexities behind like people and images.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And I guess, first of all, starting not with a question, but just with a comment that congratulations on hijacking a thermal printer, because that's something I remember colleagues did not manage in a recent project. But regarding the work itself, I think it's a very useful tool to spread the awareness of the biases in large language models. And that's my question. Perhaps you have any ideas to showcase it in a different environment, maybe a different version online, because I just think it's a work that would be really wonderful for lots of people to see and experience that. So I'm just curious about your future projects.
That's such a good question. We didn't even think about that, but I think we actually created the first prototype online with buttons, just like buttons on the web, instead of having the microphone and the receipt. And it can absolutely live online. That's such a good suggestion. We can actually just make it open source and make it live on a website that people can refer to. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your work, and please continue working, because this is great and amazing work. Our next group of presenters. Do we have you already joining us? Nikolaus, Mariella, Peter, Lucie, and Victor?
Yes, it is Mariella. I'm here, and Peter from our group. Yeah, thank you for introducing the project, Shaking Grounds, Shifting Skies. We also have prepared a video for you, but maybe just a couple of words beforehand. We just come out of a symposium at Maxi Gallery, Video Gallery, and what you're going to see in the video is like an excerpt from a larger film we were producing in the frame of the call Imagine Climate Dignity, artistic collaborations. We are interested in this potential future shift from post-Anthropocene towards the Symbiocene. And maybe we just, I don't know, Peter, do you want to add anything on the content level, and then we watch it and have some Q&A?
No, just saying that Lucie and Nikolaus, Lucie STRECKER, Nikolaus GANSTERER, and Victor JASCHKE, the cameraman, they are still in Rome, or at least Lucie and Victor, as Mariella said, because we had this symposium running at the Maxi Museum in Rome. Just saying that they couldn't make it, but they would be glad to be here and say hello.
So what we saw were short scenes from the film Shaken Ground, Shifting Skies. I have a question. Was that kombucha?
Right, yes, it was Kobe's symbiotic cultures of bacteria and yeast. Exactly. They were traveling with us to the volcanoes, and we were bringing them in touch with these fumaroles and also the extremophiles that are living there in this environment. And we had some of the footage that you saw with the microcam, where we're exploring the landscape of the body. That was actually happening in the frame of a festival called Volcanic Attitudes. So our project is really looking into seismicity, and specifically our question is about human-induced or human-accelerated seismicity, and how those landscapes and the bodyscapes are relating to each other.
Have you been showing this film in festivals, and so what has been the response to this, to your work?
Well, the last time, as has been said, or just 2 days ago, we were presenting it in Rome in the Maxi Video Gallery, but in the frame of a symposium. That means the film, or the film excerpts, to be correct, was just one part of a larger program, including performance, art, and talks, also from scientists, and then a live drawing session. So we're in the middle of the project and collecting film material, so to say, a little bit pretending to be a film team, yeah. But of course, we are these artistic researchers traveling around, hopefully, the world. That means next year Iceland, so volcanoes, and but also other places which might be already human-induced seismic active places. Yeah, this is the theory behind it, or one of the theories. And at the moment, the way we kind of found an order for the film scenes, there are many more, was just asking questions and then relate them to the questions. But it's still, as I said, it's a very open process, and at the moment we're about to collect.
Yeah, how are you doing to use bodies as sensors? What sensitivities are you using that measuring devices are not able to fulfill?
That's a very good question. I'm really interested in a somatic seismographer, what that would mean, and how to articulate those sensitivities and how to train them, also how to develop them. At the moment, I look a lot actually into tremor, both in its kind of erotic but also pathological modality of being present. And there are various practices that I'm engaging in. For example, the TRE, the tremor release exercises. There are several other points of relation, of reference, like Peter Levine's somatic experiencing. So as Peter was saying, we're at an early stage where we are exploring various practices and develop them further. One of the points that we were exploring with this segment that you saw when we had this body landscape on the table and the microcam was also this shift towards the micro worlds. I mean, this is Jens, you're the specialist in microperformativity, but to scale it down from the mesoscopic more to the also the inside of the body. So we were with the camera exploring different structures of the body in this close view.
But we are also, and this is not to be forgotten, really questioning the role, or maybe it's a cliche, of artists and art as seismographers. Yeah. Also in art history, does that exist? Is that a cliche? Is that true? Which measuring tools do we have? And so on. So it's also a little bit an ironic view on the role art and artists may have played and still play in that sense.
Thank you for your work and good luck with development of the film. We are moving to our next presentation by Yoon Chung Han, Seen Unseen. Are you with us?
Hello, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Hello. So Yoon Chung Han is an interaction designer, multimedia artist, and researcher focusing on biometric data visualizations and sonifications.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yoon Chung Han. I'm associate professor in design department at San Jose State University. I'm media artist, interaction designer, and researcher. Thank you so much for having me. Today I'm going to talk about my recent project. It's called See Unseen, which is interactive art installation. So it actually includes not only just interactive installation, but there are actually 3D printed sculptures made with the recycled plastic filaments, and then the picture frames as well. So basically the idea is about the ocean plastic pollution. So each year, estimated 8 million metric tons of plastic waste is introduced into the world's ocean, which is actually the same to the huge garbage trucks worth into the plastic every minute. So this project utilizes data on types of the plastic and the plastic decomposition, including its rate and duration, and correlates with the product size. So here, as you can see, there are many types of the plastic, and then you can see how long it will take to decompose each type. So for example, PET actually usually takes a lot of time. So there's a plastic curtain actually, which takes 1,000 years. So yeah, what I actually did was basically I based on the decomposition rate and then this data, actually I kind of create the plastic hybrid morphed animals, actually inspired by the AI images, and then kind of merge it with the plastics characteristic, like the visual features. So these are some kind of initial sketches made by the AI. And then actually I started sketching and then brainstorm the ideas using AI. So there are many actually kind of basically like a style transformed images. So visual features and the styles of the plastic products actually are kind of applying to the shapes and then textures and colors onto the sea creatures. And then on the right side, on the column on the right side, actually are the 3D, the finer designs of these hybrid plastic ocean, like sea creatures. So there are four categories in this animal design. So there are fish, and then coral, and then a seaweed, and then some kind of geometric shapes, like abstract shapes. So, but it looks like a kind of cool at first glance, but actually if you take a look at the details, something is kind of weird, some shapes are kind of not very normal, or like kind of mimics to the kind of colors or textures of the plastic products like we are using every day, or some kind of their fins of the fish, or some kind of their legs are kind of longer, or so there's some little weird things happening, which actually is a kind of presumably like representation of the impact by the plastic, to the ocean animals. So here's some design process, how actually I made it. So basically, I collaborate with the animator, and then we actually use a Blender software to design all these creatures. And then it's actually all composed in the Unity, and then for the interactive version. So when you actually scan each different plastic product, actually they actually generate the different plastic hybrid animal. So every time in the screen, their compositions are all different. Which creatures actually pop up and how they actually mingle with the other creatures. The sceneries are actually designed by your input. So these 3 frames are some kind of representative screenshot images of this interactive version. So every time you can see, kind of observe and experience different scenery, ocean sceneries. So this was actually exhibited in the Peer Contemporary Art Gallery in Seoul, South Korea last year. So this is some view. There's the pedestal with the QR scanner, and then there's a plastic bottles or some plastic products are actually in the big container. So people can actually bring their own plastic products or use the existing, the plastic products, and then they can scan it and then see how it looks like. Yeah, and then here's the video. What's interesting is actually in this gallery, there are many kind of broken parts or kind of pipe or something, but I actually intentionally left it and I didn't fix it because it's kind of pretty cool, kind of fits to my concept about like ocean design. So it kind of, I like the pipe or those kind of broken parts. So it kind of goes well with the visuals. So, and then these are all 3D printed sculptures, all actually use it with the recycled plastic filaments. Yeah, and then this work, originally it was actually created with the 3 projections, like screens. And then after that, I had a chance to show this work in another museum in Korea. It's called Art Center Navi. So they actually asked me to put this one in the 1-channel video. So this is kind of same setup, but just only with the one projection. And then, yeah, the 3D print sculptures are here. Yeah, here's a video documentation. Yeah, I think that by exploring this more animals and interactive arts installation, I hope people can have a chance to think about what is the the issue and meaning about this whole plastic pollution. Kind of try to actually definitely give awareness of the plastic pollution. So especially the marine plastic pollution is definitely a very serious issue. So I hope this can bring some, some maybe actions or small actions, or kind of has chance to think about the issues, and the importance of the sustainability in a tangible and engaging way. Yeah, here's my contact info. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you for your video. Could you tell us more about how you recycled plastic to make filaments?
So there are 2 approaches I use it. So I collaborate with the chemical material science engineering department in my university. Actually, they have a machine that you can actually input the plastic object and shred it and then melt it and then turn it into filaments. But it actually took a lot of time to generate it. So I actually also purchased recycled filaments from the company called the Reflow. So they actually use a medical plastic objects and then recycle this. So yeah, I use it both 2 ways.
Were the choices of the colors based on just available plastics, or was that a kind of an aesthetic choice?
Actually, both. Yeah. So there are a lot of colors, variety of colors used in plastic products, right? So I want to depict it those, first of all, actually, when I start 3D modeling, I collaborate with the AI and then did some background research and then, make the style transform images. So pretty much like create the plastic hybrid creatures using AI. And then once I combine plastic images and the sea creatures, there's so many actually colors mixed when you actually make a hybrid design. So that was a pretty natural, you know, all driven by the plastic, original plastic objects. And also after that, I manipulated and polished details. So because it's interactive, real-time installation. So there should be some kind of harmonized scenery design. Every time users actually input their data, there should be some kind of different sea creatures appear. And then I want to make it like look good. So there's some kind of little adjustment in the color scheme at the end.
And thank you for sharing your project with us. And with this presentation, we are also ending our panel. So I will pass the microphone to Rasa.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your interest, asking questions, participating in discussions, and amazing patience. So there still are many people here. So we are now finishing, and then finally, I'm happy also to say all these big thanks to all of RIXC production team. Agnes Baranova, who was more responsible about the production of exhibition. Lelde Gutman was assisting her, but also producing more with the work involved with the exhibition at the moment, sitting as an exhibition guide in a RIXC gallery, so she's not present today. Lee Vasilian, who really succeeded to realize all our ambitious PR plan and information coordination. Everything worked smoothly. We had so many media for the press conference on Wednesday morning. Also Daina Siliņa, who joined us for the conference. So she was responsible until the end with connecting online participants also with this room. Yeah, of course, Raite Schmitz, my partner and husband. So he already has left for some other occasion, but he's also sending you the greetings. Our amazing technical team of Pēteris Rieksteņš, who did both conference and exhibition setup. Richard Vītols, who helped with the exhibition. Rohir Jupin, who was also here present all the days of the conference. Moderators Anna Priedola and Maija DEMITERE, both from New Media Art program, also of Liepāja Riga Technical University, Liepāja Academy. Yeah, young assistants Anna Schmidt and Marta Briede, they already, we allowed them to go. Graphical design, Laura Schmidt's the book, Martin Schratnik's layout. Website, Andres Vlasos, the invisible guy who is always helping and being very quick usually with updates. So also being, I hope I didn't forget anybody. All the supporters we already mentioned in this big official opening. So State Cultural Capital Foundation, Goethe Institute, Riga City Council, and EMAP Media, European Media Art Platform. So, yeah, at the moment, nothing is planned until the 9th. but at 9, everybody who wants to party are welcome to join in a bar, how it's called, 1983. I don't know, it's 1984 -1 or what, the title. So you can go there. Also, there are our people and young artists and participating there. And also Alex, Ukrainian artist, is doing a performance. And Pēteris is a young new media artist. No, he's switching his role and also participating there, right? Pēteris, yeah. Yeah, under the different name. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody. Really, it was so intense days, and also I really appreciate all online participants that you prepared these beautifully well edited, amazing shorts. Your contributions in video so that we could save a time and also talk to you, so getting you involved. Okay, thank you very much.